right. Welcome back for more crazy, crazy people. All right. So what I'm looking at is forward testing out the plan that binding the power of Bubba with the power of a small account. Can you make money in the market? And I want to answer that question regardless of skill level, right? Now you got to have some skill. Can we execute? Can a new trader or somebody brand new doesn't know anything about trading, can they make money in the market? And that's a strong question. It's a strong question to be able to answer yes, because it's never been done before. And so I'm really curious to see if you can do it. What I'm asking for is for us as traders to trade the least amount of trading. So not touching this account, basically. We touch it only to trigger a trade in. So if we take like $100 account, right? Or $500 account, whatever you guys want to do. So, but $100 to $500, I think in this dollar amount, most people who have no clue about trading would feel comfortable saying, yeah, I'll try it. This is I want to try it amount, right? I'll try it, see if it works, right? So in this account, in this small account, all we're doing is letting Bubba trade this small account. That's it. But it's up to us to do exactly what I just did and put auto on, right? The goal here is to take somebody who has zero knowledge about trading and create a game plan that we could duplicate over and over and over and help a lot of people. Can I help my family members create another source of income? Honestly, that's it. That's what it comes down to. Can we help somebody create another source of income? And I have family members that would say, yeah, here's $1,000, here's $2,000, here's $10,000. And I have other family members that can't rub two nickels together. The people that can afford to throw $1,000 at something are probably the people that may not need it. So the people that can't rub two nickels together may need this. And so that's what I'm thinking about. If it's not going to work, it won't work. But I'm sitting here thinking, why won't it work? It does two things in the trading industry. It turns the trading industry on its head, which says anybody can make money trading. That's not true. Well, okay. Anybody can make money trading, but keeping it long term is the difficult thing, right? And then two, I don't care who you are, but if you're making money at something, you're going to find a way to throw more money at it eventually. Ultimately, if you guys do this, if you guys do it, you can teach somebody else how to do it. That's it. It's that easy, right? That's what I'm offering here is if you can do it, you can teach somebody else to do it too. What Steven said is getting the Bubba parameters set at each level as you grow your account is crucial. That's what I'm talking about, becoming an account manager. So we'll talk about what your settings should be, and if we need to make adjustments, all that kind of stuff during this phase. Let's talk about what we're looking at, what we're setting up, and all that kind of stuff, right? Because I honestly want you guys to do it so that you can teach it to somebody else. And if you can't teach it to somebody else, then you can do it for them, right? If they're that important to you as a person, right? If they're a family member or somebody that you're struggling, you can do it for them. But we're at the stage of back testing, forward testing, and all this stuff that it's working. So you guys need to do it too. That means that you have to be a 24-hour trader. That means you have to do overnight trading. And I know some of you guys aren't doing it, but you have to, right? I'm asking people to set up a $100 to $500 account because it helps get the word out to other people. If you guys can do it, we can help new people do it. And again, I'm conflicted because it's not about trying to grow trade the fund. It's about trying to give a system that can help people change their life. And I really believe that we can, right? And that's ultimately what it's about, right? I'll create a new Discord chat for this group. Just call it Road to a Million. That's what I'll call it. Road to a Million for this group. Anybody that's participating in the Road to a Million.
I have $1,000 real account, and then everything I make on that $1,000, I'm putting into my second account. So I've already got
Okay.
$100 set aside after this week's trading.
So this is going to be very important for you and everybody else. Quick question. Put in the comments how often you guys take a loss, a catastrophic loss. Once a month, 3 weeks, 2 to 3 times, twice a month, every 3 weeks. Okay, so we're right about, everybody's about the same, right? The amount, the dollar amount's probably vastly different, but everybody's about the same. And that's actually pretty good. If you're taking a loss once a month or twice a month, you're on track, right? And I'm probably going to venture to say that okay, that loss is going to be different for everybody. It's going to be a 5% loss maybe for some, and for others that might be a 50% loss. No, well, our boot camp with Khaled did just that, right? It opened my eyes too of like, this is a program. It's a systematic program that if managed correctly should be able to make money, right? If managed correctly. And that's what, and you guys have all the tools and resources to manage this correctly because it's not that difficult to manage correctly for you guys. You guys see the spreadsheet that Khaled put together. And let's just kick it off with $100. $100 is not going to move the needle. It's like we talked about. Nobody's going to miss $100 if you lose it. Nobody's going to want to double that and still say, woohoo, I doubled my account. It's not about that. It's about getting it to where you're not losing. If you're losing twice a month, you're losing every 10 days. But here's the thing. If you're losing every 10 days, the next question I'm going to ask you, and let's be honest with ourselves and in a chat, the next question I'm going to ask you is, are you losing? I can't do white. Do red. Are you losing 60% every 10 days? Are you losing 60%? Are you
60% of what?
your balance?
Oh,
Your
no,
account
hell no.
balance. Okay. So that's the question. Here's the thing that makes it all work. Makes it all work. At $100, how often are you losing? Not $100, just a small account. How often are you losing 50% or greater on that account? Go back and think about it. How often are you blowing up that account? What we want to get this to be is that you're losing 60% or 50% plus, every 3 months. Whole purpose of this conversation is to come up with the settings that you guys can run on an automatic position, right? So let's take, what I'm saying is that with $100, your goal is 6%. Your max loss is 60. The goal here is to make 2%, not 6%, times 4, right? That's the goal. The goal here is to make 2% times 4, meaning I'm trying to make 2% 4 times a day in my account, right? And also not exceeding the average drawdown of 20%. So can I do that with 2 trades. Well, absolutely. Then you get out. Then it cuts you out at 2%, right? You hit goal and you go for goal number 1. And some days you hit 3 goals, which is 6%. And some days you hit 4 goals, which is 8%. So, and then average is probably will average out. Some days you hit 2 goals, some days you might hit more. Then it averages out to about 6% a day. So you're not going for 6% as your goal with Bubba. You're going for 2% as your goal with Bubba. Right? And you're doing it for the day, which dramatically reduces your exposure to the market. Dramatically reduces, so you're hitting this with maybe 1 to 2, maybe 3 trades, and you're hitting it because your settings will never put you over 20% on average drawdown. Right? And if you can do that, then you're hitting the smaller goals fairly quickly. Right? So, and then we take this, the objective here is you take this $100, double it, make 200, go open a second account. So now 100, you have 2 accounts with 100, 2 accounts with 100, 3 accounts with 100, and 4 accounts with 100. Now we're Forexing our Forex. Now the magic happens here. The magic, you can do this. Now this is going to be the scary part because you're probably you might lose here at some point. And we need to figure out to adjust the settings. If you do lose, if you can get beyond this 4 account setup and get to the next level, which is the next tier, so much better, which is the next tier. As you start to tier up, your risk becomes so much better. Your risk becomes so much better as you start to tier up. But the beautiful part about having 4 $100 accounts is that you're making 6% 4 times. But with that 6% 4 times, and this is, I think, Kovacs, you were asking this question, why is it better to have 4 $100 accounts than 1 $400 account? Because when you have 1 $400 account, you change your risk. And now you're only going for 4%. But here we're going for 6%. Then if you start out with $1,000 account in that tier, you're going for 3%. Right? And so you start to graduate your tiers. And so if you can have all these accounts going for the higher dollar amount, it grows and then compounds faster because you're slowing down your growth rate the more money you get in. Right? So you're slowing your growth rate down the more money you get in. But if you have this growth rate here that's really high, that's why the Forex works. So if you come over here and you have 4 $400 accounts, year 1 you've taken $400 to $1,300. Right? It can take you a long time because you're starting at a year. And 2 you're at 8. 2 years you're at 20,000, and 3 years you're at 63,000. This is the power. If we can do it correctly, if you're after a year, you're not doing this to move the needle. You're not doing it to make money. But what we're doing is showing that after 2 years, you're converting $100 into 20. You're converting $100 into 63,000 at the end of 3 years. Right? And then that's really where it takes off. So again, not going to move the needle, but what this does for everybody here, I guarantee you, after a year of doing this, you'll put more money into it. You will put more money into it. That's a lottery ticket you have to wait 3 years to scratch off. But what else are you doing with $100? Right? Or $100, and it helps you to manage it. And then you say, I can put more money into it. And you start putting more money into it. And now you start with $1,000 and you do the same thing at the $1,000. Or you start with $5,000. But you're not going to start with $5,000 until you see that it works. You start with $5,000, and in 3 years you have almost 600,000. Right? I'm gonna pretty confident between 1 and 3 years of starting with $100, you're gonna find ways to put more money into it and start a new account, start another account. Right? And if you did this same model with, oh yeah, that's the other thing too, is that we got to get it to where if you guys are learning how to trade and trading better, we got to get it to where you're not taking a loss every 10 days. Now remember, these are based upon $100 with you taking a loss every 10 days of 60% and making 6. That means you're making it back plus or minus, because you double your goal here. And some days you double your goal. Some days you get 5, some days you get 6, right? But you're taking a loss every 2 weeks of 60%. You're still making money. You're still profitable. But we got to get it to the point where you guys are taking a 60% loss or a catastrophic loss, or put it in better terms, on $100,000 account. We trade with $100,000. Your max loss is 10%. Because we never even sniffed 10%. You know, I think we've hit 5% maybe twice, but that's on days that shoot up and keep going. But we can afford to make and we never even sniffed 10%. And if we hit that every, we hit it 10%, let's say we hit that every 6 months, which is what, 120 trading days? If you hit that every 120 days, you see how it just skyrockets. With $100 account, if we can hit that every 6 months, we're taking a max loss. Well, in 2 years, you've just made $164,000 on a $100 account that you started with. So that's the thing is, but, their settings can make or break you. And I agree with what Colette is saying, that $100 is really tough unless you have the right settings. It still is tough because you're over leveraged. That's the gist of it, is that if we can get our trading to where we're taking a max loss every 6 months or even every 90 days, which is 60, you can take $100 and convert that into 136,000, and then you can start it all over with $10,000 accounts, 4 $10,000 accounts. What I'm saying is how to make money. Kovash is going to tell you how to lose it.
Okay.
You can talk about losses.
So when I was having trouble with Bubba and like I wasn't sure when it was gonna like multiply and add layers, like I was getting myself underwater. So I made this spreadsheet for how many pips I could go before I hit some sort of drawdown percentage. So it's kind of hard to read, but I have a starting balance of 100 here to go with what you're talking about, price cycle 19 and lot size of 0.01. And then these on-off switches represent trade layers. And so Bubba adds every half price cycle, so 9.5. So first trade on right here with 0 drawdown, 0 pips, and the next trade will come on at negative 9.5. So you can look at, so when I put that trade on, my drawdown will be, almost minus 1%. I'll have gone 9 pips. And then also it tells you like if I come back to this level, what my return will be. So if I come back 9.5 pips, my profit should be 1.43% at that point. So these are true. And if it keeps on going up, it without adding any more, I should be at 3.8% after one full price cycle, and then 6, and then 8, and then 10. And so I use this to kind of guess at like how bad it can get. So I'll go look at the chart and I'll say, this outside range, it might go like 50 pips. So I'll see, okay, if I were to go 50 pips, Bubba would have put on 6 trades. I'd be at a drawdown of 28%. And then I need one price cycle back to be at 11%. And we set our goal, you know, at like 2%. So it would get me out somewhere in between these two.
Sure.
But I can change it.
Because that's the thing that people aren't attributing to is like, yes, 0.01, 5 trades against you puts you at, 30%, but that fifth trade turns
Yeah.
in your favor, your drawdown is immediately gobbled up one price cycle, right? You got to go 2 price cycles is what you're saying. And you got to go maybe, what is that? Does this equal 2 price cycles that you have to go? Sorry, if it goes, is this 1 price cycle, 2 movements?
Yeah, that's the full 19.
So if it goes back,
2 layers is 1 price cycle.
because this is a half a price cycle and this is a
Yes,
full. So if it goes
exactly.
back 1 price cycle, basically if it goes before it goes back 1 price cycle, I'm at 2%,
Yes, definitely.
right?
Even like, part like the first third of it or something like that.
Exactly.
So yeah, so like,
And so that would also be true if you just went, it would also be true if you if you only went 3 layers. So you only go 3 layers.
yeah. It's you pretty much like that's another thing I use it for is like, where's my what's a reasonable goal? And
A reasonable
so
area
like,
to get your 2%. So
I
you
want
need
to
to go 3 layers deep.
I want to be able
so
to
one
hit
full
goal
price cycle.
in 1 price cycle. And
Yeah. So you go 1 price cycle, you're at goal.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's exactly what you've said, which is like, it's a game of, can I get 1 price cycle in my favor before I go like negative 60%.
Right.
And usually that seems like super likely. Like here with a 19 price cycle, you can go, I think it was 60 pips. So that's where I got in trouble was like, whenever Trump did whatever he did and the market did go 80 without giving me my price cycle, then I risked out. But normally I get a price cycle before we get down here. And you can change this to be bigger. Like you were saying, we should go up to 28. And now at 84 pips, I'm able to go 70 pips and
You're
still only be at minus 22.
Pips.
And I can go up to 84 pips and be at 70%, which is
this is a really good.
pretty far. Yeah.
It basically does exactly what I was just thinking about doing is gives us our numbers. Like you can't go lower than 0.01, but at the same token that if you can run like 8 entries gives you 80 pips and 80 pips, the market is going to come back 1 price cycle.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You can usually count on that for it to come back 1 price cycle within.
And if it comes back 1 price cycle, you've hit your goal.
Yeah. And if we could like even just start, I mean, I usually just leave the goal though at the 2%. I don't try to shoot for 19%, but you could, if you knew somehow how deep you were, you could ask for more.
It definitely dramatically reduces your risk if you could go down a lot. I'm not sure if it's still a good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah, the goal.
I wouldn't say a bad thing, but yeah, it might be better. But you're not going to. The trade-off is you're going to hit 2% really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I love this spreadsheet because what you're doing is saying if I enter in here, is there a possibility it's going to run 50 to 60 pips against me? Right?
Mm-hmm.
If the answer is yes, maybe you shouldn't enter. Right?
That is exactly what I tried to do.
Or maybe I'll put a pending order where the risk becomes less. right? If it does come down here, I want to get into a buy, or if it goes up here, I want to get into a sell, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you start putting a pending order on. Holy tabs, Batman.
Don't look up there. That's not part of the presentation.
Hey, uh, hey, Nick, what is this tab right here? What's that one? What
It's
what is
very
that
important. Okay.
one? That's crazy. All right, I love this, and I love to pair that together. I also am not asking you guys to trade $100. Like, it doesn't move the needle for anybody. What I'm asking you guys to do is to help me build a model that is a successful model that anybody can do regardless of trading experience. I think that's the value that we could do this. And along the way, if you guys are successful, then you'll want to put more money in and you could do it yourself. Right. And I think for the most part, we all um, can throw $100 and see what happens, right? Or $500, whatever you want to do. But I think the whole point is to start with a tiny account, not $1,000 account, so that when we say, yeah, I took $100 to 10,000. Oh, I want to do that too. Well, let me show you how to do it.